Do it. You're recording.
All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our next virtual Dinners for Good. My name is Aviva, and I'm the co founder of Kitchens for Good. And we are just so grateful to keep having these wonderful opportunities to gather together in the kitchen and make delicious food and come together as a community. I think it's really important right now. So we started these as an opportunity to learn some new cooking techniques using our pantry ingredients and also help raise awareness and some funds to support Kitchens for Good and our emergency response efforts during this pandemic. As this pandemic hit San Diego, Kitchens for Good worked really quickly to pivot its operations and scale up its hunger relief program. Back in March, we were producing maybe 2,000 meals a week, and this week we're producing 15,000 meals a week. And so we are really scaling up to help meet the growing need for food assistance in San Diego. And while we're going to enjoy a delicious and amazing meal of our bountiful pantries today, it's a stark reminder that so many in our community right now do not have the ability to put food on their table. So at our kitchen, our culinary apprentices and our chefs are working around the clock to prepare as many meals as possible. And we're distributing those meals through the San Diego Food Bank and at a grab and go distribution at our kitchen. So thank you all so much for those of you who donated upon your registration. There's still a chance. We'll be putting the link in the chat box if you'd like to donate. Any amount really helps as we scale up our production even further. So I'm really excited to introduce our amazing chefs today. So the way this is going to work is we're going to pass it on to our different chefs. They're going to do demos. Feel free to chime in with questions as we go through, and we'll try and get all those answered. So we've got an amazing lineup. We've got Chef Josh Kemble, who's the executive chef of Harvest Kitchen, as you can see by that gorgeous backdrop. We've got Chef Lety McKenzie, who's the chef owner of Hijas de Maíz. And we have got Jeff Longnecker, who is the distiller and owner of Seven Caves. So we've got a really amazing lineup. Some of you may have gotten our market box, so hopefully you'll be able to use some of that gorgeous produce. So we like to start things off with a drink to help the cooking process move forward. So I'm going to pass it off to Jeff to teach us a little cocktail recipe.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. One of my, I absolutely love these cookbooks, incidentally. I talk about my shop, Seven Caves, culinarily quite a bit, and some of my favorite recipes, including one from Louisiana for gumbo, includes a 6-pack of beer, all of which is to be consumed by the chef during the cooking of the gumbo. So I'm glad we're starting with cocktails. When thinking about this cocktail, something that would pair great with the food that we're going to make tonight, I was thinking more along the lines of something spicy and sweet and sour, sort of a daiquiri or margarita type. And then talking to the market box folks of what they had in stock, we decided to do something along the lines of a paloma. Now, a traditional paloma is made with a couple of different things. It's usually grapefruit, a little bit of lime juice, either a simple syrup or agave or honey, and then tequila, agave spirit, generally a mezcal. So the way I'm going to go about making mine today, and please ask questions if I get ahead of myself, I'll try to go slow. But we're going to make a paloma out of either tequila or agave, or really whatever you have. So if you have questions of things that might be in your pantry and you're not really sure, you don't have everything that we need, just let me know. So we're going to start with 2 ounces of Oro Blanco grapefruit. These beautiful, actually, hang on, let me backtrack a little bit. These are these beautiful Oro Blanco grapefruits. You guys can't smell them right now, but it's really smelling my kitchen up, and it's quite awesome. So one of the things I like to do when making this, I'm going to put this into a Collins glass, but you can use any glassware. I just happen to have the Collins glass handy. So we're going to start by taking half of a piece of citrus. We're just going to rub a little bit of that juice right on the edge of the rim of the glass, and we're going to get our little tahini out. Hang on a second. So let me get this open. Sure. And all you're going to do is right over the top of where that tahini was, We're just going to dump a little bit on the rim. Now, you've probably seen rim glasses with sugar all the way around. I don't really like that because it kind of tells you that every sip you're going to have in the cocktail has whatever that flavor is, and it can sometimes get overwhelming. So I just like to put a little bit on one side. So if you want to sip with a little spice, you can, but if you don't have to. So that guy's now set aside. The next thing we're going to do, this is a pre-squeezed Oro Blanco grapefruit. Actually, if you got the market box, it ended up being almost a whole Oro Blanco because the pith is pretty thick. We're going to take 2 ounces. So it was about maybe just a half, actually. This is a 2-ounce jigger on this side, 1 ounce on this side, 2 ounces on the other. 2 ounces of Oro Blanco grapefruit.
That's the tequila?
No, that's just grapefruit juice.
Just grapefruit. Got it.
Starting with grapefruit juice. That's one of the things I do a lot. I picked it up. I can't remember the bartender that recommended it. But you start with the ingredients that are non-booze first, because then if you screw something up, you can start over again and you haven't wasted expensive booze. So I'm going to squeeze one of these fresh lemons. And I'm just going to squeeze it about like 3/4 of the way. It should be about half of an ounce of lemon juice. Okay, about that much. Set this down. Now, if you have the market box, the little thing that they included for me, this is a spiced agave extract. We'll see how it comes out. It may not pour too well, to be honest. If it doesn't, then, we'll see if it'll come out, and if it doesn't, I'm just going to switch right away to simple syrup. And I'm just going to switch to simple syrup because we probably have to heat it up a little bit in order to get it out. But it's going to take a little bit too long, I think, for the purposes of our broadcast. So I'm just going to add a little simple syrup. This is a 1-to-1 rich simple syrup. So if you have honey, you can use honey. If you have maple syrup, you can use maple syrup. Any kind of sweet, just about a half of an ounce. So 1/2 to 3/4. If you like it a little sweeter, add a little bit more. Okay. I like it a little sweeter, so I added 3/4 of an ounce. Now the fun part. We're going to do 2 ounces of whatever spirit you want to use. I just happened to release a couple days ago my next to the line of agave spirits, which is, I can't call them tequila because they're made here in the U.S., but it's 100% Blue Weber agave. We're going to put 2 full ounces into our big shaker.
I don't think I knew that you can only call it tequila if it's made in Mexico.
Yep, it has to be made. It has to not only be made, but it has to be made and bottled in Mexico. So if it's not bottled down there, then it can't be called tequila. It has to be from that specific region. That's why not all mezcal is tequila. It has to be 100% Blue Weber agave, all that stuff. So we have all this built in our big shaker right now. I got to grab some ice 1 second. If you have the 2 shaker tins set up, I generally build the cocktail on the big side, fill the small side with ice, give it a good hard whack. You want to build a good seal on that. And then we're just going to shake. Okay? Just like, I always like to say, just like you see good bartenders do it, all of us have seen good bartenders doing this. Everybody has a different technique. You see some bartenders that are good and they can do 2 hands, or some people have like fancy techniques like that. Just whatever you like, whatever works. Our goal here is to really agitate the heck out of it. A good hard agitation. What do you call agave? So it's agaves that's a good question. So agaves that are bottled here in the United States have to be called agave spirit by TTB law. But you'll also see, there's different variants. If it's not Blue Weber agave, it can be called Bacanora. It can be called, Sotal. Mezcal comes from an agave, but not necessarily the Blue Weber agave. They're different. So basically, you shake this until your hands get really cold. And you start seeing some frost develop on the outside of the tin. That's a pretty good sign that your cocktail's pretty cold.
Jeff, what can you use instead of a shaker?
If you don't have a shaker, good question. If you don't have a shaker,
mason jar?
My old jar.
You can also throw it in the blender if you have a blender. You can even just do this, to be honest. If you have 2 glasses, just kind of go back and forth. Okay? If you have the fancy cocktail setup, You don't have to do this part, okay? I always like to tell people, the whole point of there's no wrong way to drink booze here, guys. I'm going to use a fancy cocktail strainer. I want some ice to go through purposely. I'm not using club soda in my Paloma because I want it to be boozy. Traditionally, a Paloma is made with a little club soda on top to make it a little effervescent. If you don't have club soda, you can use a Prosecco. You can add just a little bit more water if you want to drop down the proof. You know, just because we have them too. We have these little beautiful radishes. I'm gonna garnish. I'm gonna steal some radish from the guys who are coming later. I'm gonna grab a little piece of lemon and express a lemon over the top. Because why not? We're just gonna, my garnish game isn't strong, but it's good, guys.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Jeff, before we go on to our cooking demo, can you tell us a little bit about what Seven Caves is up to these days?
Other than making lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of hand sanitizer, which if anybody needs hand sanitizer, we got you. I'm in the process. I mean, we're kind of going through the quarantine like everybody else is. We are open primarily for distributing hand sanitizer, which we pivoted to about 8 weeks ago. At the same time, I'm kind of doing what Seven Caves is known for, which is releasing these singular small batches. I call it ludicrously small batch spirits. I'm about to release one tomorrow that's pretty well known. Well, no, I wouldn't say well known. It's one that's expected right now. It's a 2-year-old Reposado or Añejo tequila, which will be in and out and, you know, quickly. I also make gins. I'm kind of known for my gin. My last one was my spring gin, Spring 20, which is a blood orange, lavender, lemongrass gin that I release one time a year and in very limited quantities. And other than that, I'm kind of just focusing on meeting new people that have found my shop in the last 8 weeks. And
that's awesome. And I think we've all seen a lot of awesome work that's happening of distillers kind of shifting to hand sanitizer. What was that shift like?
Well, that's a good question. Also, if I put on my other hat, I'm president of the San Diego Distillers Guild. It's been a pretty exceptional experience, to be honest. Every distiller, but for maybe 1 or 2 in San Diego, got onto this, trying to fill a void in the market. So what that means at Seven Caves, in a very kind of funny way, right when all this started, my friend Bill Rogers down at Liberty Call and I got together. He had some neutral grain spirit, and we talked about.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
The suspense. Hand sanitizer.
What happened?
Yeah, and then we made hand sanitizer. It's basically the World Health Organization gave us all a formula and said as long as it is these 3 things, which is high proof ethanol, glycerin, and hydrogen peroxide, then we can make it. So we decided early on. As soon as that happened, we started getting lots and lots of calls, and we decided that we weren't going to distill our way through this challenge. We ended up buying lots and lots of neutral grain alcohol and denatured alcohol. So it became a big sourcing challenge. So.
Well, we really appreciate it. We are one of the lucky recipients of that hand sanitizer, and it's keeping all of our chefs and all of our volunteers clean in our kitchen. So thank you so much for that donation. I'll also plug right now that we are hosting volunteers in our kitchen to help with packaging and with sealing all of our meals. So if you're looking for a way to get out of the house and give back, we've got 2 volunteer shifts a day. So you can find out more on our website, or we'll put a link in the chat box. So without further ado, I'm going to pass it off to Chef Josh.
Okay, so what I have for you is a twofer in our kitchen, because I'm out here in the front of Harvest Kitchen, and actually I have Chef Lety in the back kitchen getting ready to please you with her recipes, because we're going to kind of put all 3 of our things together. She's starting with one thing, and then I'm going to do mine, and then she's doing another one, which I'm going to add to mine. So it's kind of like going to be a collaboration. And don't worry, we're keeping distant, but I'm gonna walk you back into our kitchen, and she's already got some stuff ready to rock. So she'll guide you through the process of her first dish. So come on back with me, and we'll break over to Chef Lety, who's already started her tortilla making process. Watch this. TV magic. Ready?
You guys, we're actually live.
Yeah, it's live. No pre-recorded, right? So just watch around here and then follow me. Grab my drinks.
Jeff, while they're going back there, how many ounces of grapefruit juice did you
Lety,
use?
you coming in?
2 ounces of grapefruit juice, half an ounce of some sort of citrus.
Over here, working by our plancha.
Hi guys.
And I'll pass it along to her.
Hi everyone. Chef Lety. I'm the owner and the chef for Heaven Mais, and I'm going to show you how to make a requesón. Requesón is kind of like a farmer's cheese. It's a little softer than the ricotta. It's very easy. You have all these things in your hands. So we start off with half a gallon of milk, 1 lemon zest and juice, and a 1/4 cup of vinegar. What you want to do is get the milk going. So we actually started already some of the milk. It's warming
Can you
up.
guys get a bit closer to the camera so we can hear you better?
All right. What have you heard?
We heard you, but
Let's
just
start.
louder.
Start again.
Yeah, no, you're good. Keep
Okay.
going.
So we already have milk heated up for you, and in these quick, easy steps, you want to get all your acid, which is 1/4 cup of vinegar, your 1 lemon juice and zest, and we're gonna come over here. This is gonna go pretty fast. Can you guys see this?
Yep.
I'm gonna dump these 2 in together to make it easy. And inside your warm milk, you don't want to scald it. You don't want to burn it. The more you let it heat up, the whey's gonna get a little bigger. We want it to be small and soft, so we're just gonna put it in there, and then you can see the acid breaking the whey curds.
Hey, Chef, can you tell
And
me
I
how much?
keep it going for a little bit more. It's half a gallon.
Half a gallon of milk. Thank you.
So see how it's all broken up? We go that way now. Because now we want to strain it. While it's hot, you don't want to keep it going. So I got cheesecloth and a gallon container. See how the cheese is already kind of coming together? And then you just press down. While you're doing that, I always recommend to season. And then just kind of mix and push. And just get as much liquid as you want out. Depending on how softer you want, how hard you want it, like I said. Once this is done, you put it in, you roll up your ball, you put it in the refrigerator, and then within an hour, you get this.
Wow.
I add a little olive oil on top of mine so it doesn't dry out. I've also sliced it, nice and soft. This is lemon zest requesón.
That's
What would you-
incredible.
What would you compare it to? What kind of cheese? Is it like more like a ricotta texture?
Like a fresh cheese, a farmer's cheese, a little softer though. I would recommend eating it that day. Within a couple of days, there is no preservatives or enzymes in here because it's easy stuff that you can make in your house with the small ingredients you have.
Wow, amazing. Chef Lety, can you tell us a little bit about your Hijas de Maíz and how that got started?
So I was working at your fish. I've been working in restaurants on and off for 20 years. And a few years back, I kind of decided that my last restaurant would technically be the last kitchen I would be in, but I would still keep cooking. And it turns out I would rather kind of make my family's recipes and things that I'm used to, that I grew up with. It's all just comfort food. And it's something that I miss being a chef and being in a kitchen, is that we eat whatever's there. We're peckish, we snack around a lot. But when we get home, there's really, just whatever we're getting. And I started cooking the mole. And mole, I've been doing it since I was 15. these are my mom's tortilla de harina recipes. So I slowly started getting back into all my favorite things, which was mole, chicken mole, fresh tortillas, and so on and so forth. And out of that, I started creating a menu that was based on food I grew up with, and slowly started doing elevated dinners with that. From there, I started doing pop-ups at bars. I was doing like taco bars, kind of helped around in other restaurants. And right now it's taken off and it's been doing really well. I do weekly deliveries and curbside pickup. If you go to ihasandmais.square.site, you can actually purchase some of my stuff there. Yeah, so that's kind of how I got started. And hopefully this will turn into a brick and mortar. But as of now, this is kind of, I always tell everyone, it's the way I keep my family alive through the food that we make.
That's awesome. And I think it's really fitting right now that a lot of us are going back to, oh my goodness, my live folks. A lot of us are going back to the food that we grew up with and cooking at home a lot more right now. And so, you know, these kind of recipes of, hey, you know, how did we end up getting this food that we ate all the time, and kind of that from scratch process, whether it's sourdough or cheese, it's really exciting to be rediscovering that.
I have one quick question for Lety. Can you make this cheese with like a dairy alternative, or is it just basically cow's milk? That's what you need to use because of the way it curdles.
I've used lactose-free milk. I've done goat milk, and you have to play with the vinegar or the acid that goes in there. So with like goat cheese, I would probably do like 3 tablespoons of vinegar. Lactose-free milk, it's basically the same one, like the same recipe as this. I prefer lactose-free milk because I am lactose intolerant. And with that one, the whey doesn't actually like clump up as much as this one. That one actually stays nice and soft and gets as good as ricotta. But if you add more vinegar, then it'll break it up even more.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
No problem.
All right. Passing it back to Josh.
So, Lety, would you mind browning some of those cheeses to put on top of this next dish I'm gonna make?
Oh, not at all.
So some of that cheese that she did, we're actually gonna char it. So chamuscado. So it's browned cheese. So if you have cotija cheese, queso fresco, this cheese especially, this is perfect to collaborate with. I'm gonna have her brown some of that, and I'll show you how to make the salsa borracha that we're gonna make for this kind of triple collaboration that we're doing to pair with that first paloma. So let's go back to the front of house, and she browns the cheese, and then we'll get this going. Follow me back up here, and I have everything kind of laid out for you because I want you to be able to cook along with us, right? So check this out. You can see all our. Hey, here I am, back at the front. What do you know? Walking through. I just kind of have. We've decided to do 2 stations since there's 2 of us cooking, and she's, you know, I thought it'd be better to, instead of zooming back and forth, we could actually literally walk / zoom back and forth. But anyways, if you have a food processor that's kind of preferred for this salsa dish, you can do a blender. But I like food processors personally because they have a wider bottom surface, and a blender actually heats up the food a little bit while you're cooking it, which is not necessarily a bad thing for this dish, but it could be bad for some other things if you didn't want to heat it up. But in this particular case, we are actually heated up the salsa already. So, but I'm going to show you real quick what goes into it. I got a lot of really good stuff in the market box today. So it made everything look brighter and pretty and local organic stuff. So what you're going to do is, where's my thing? So I got my tray. Oh yeah. So if you can see this on my overhead or in the front, either way, it's fine. It's on both. There's some stuff.
Ooh, fancy.
Oh yeah. So I personally prefer this particular. I like salsa verde because you can put a bunch of green stuff. Anything you can think of that's green is pretty much in here. So we got tomatillos. So I got about a pound right here, or half pound. You can do it. You can do this to your liking because it can be a little bit acidic, but this is all to your liking. Fresh bell pepper right here. Okay, and I got jalapenos, and you can also do serranos if you want to do a little bit extra spice. And what I do when I cook it, as you're roasting this, you're gonna oh, and then these 2 pasilla peppers, right? Okay, so pasillas are the big ones that you use for chili rellenos, right? So I like these because they'll actually give it a nice darker green color in the salsa. and it'll thicken up as it cools. So this also end up being like a little bit more thickened between the tomatillos and the pasilla. They just kind of go back together, and it really stays on your chip really well. I'll show you in a sec once we get to the eating, the checking it out part, right? So yeah, so what I did was I put all these on here, and I threw it in the oven at 400 degrees for up to 20 minutes, depending on if your oven's, how. Thank you for the ketchup.
You're welcome.
Yeah, that's perfect. So what I did was I put them in there, 400 degrees, up to 20 minutes. You want them pretty blackened. You want them nice and dark, because that'll really bring out a lot of the flavors. It'll really bring out the oils inside of the chiles. It'll be nice and spicy. And then what I have here is a little bit of TV magic. I'm going to show you the cooked one, so you can see kind of what you're working with here. Coming out over here. Okay. Wow, how did that happen? So you can see this came out of the oven like this. I also added an onion there because I wanted to throw it in. So if you got your recipe card earlier from Danny, you would see that I had an onion on there and serranos. That's up to you. You can do this however you want, as long as it has those ingredients that I had on the first tray, right? And these tomatoes are the ones that came in the market box today that I had delivered. It was awesome. So these are like some local fresh organic tomatoes that'll add a lot more juice and flavor to our salsa in season. So what I did was I put the serranos in there for some extra spice. You kind of see this. Serrano's a little bit smaller of a chile than the jalapeno. And I leave the seeds in the serrano for that extra heat. If you want less heat, take out the seeds. Get them out of here. That's where a lot of the heat is, all the core. On the jalapeno itself, I did take the seeds out. This is the jalapeno. No seeds. Like I said, if you want it hot, leave the seeds. A good tip is, I'm going to throw in the food processor. A tip for that is take the seeds out, and then if you decide that you want it hotter after you blend everything, you can add the seeds into the food processor after you think it needs more heat. So I'm putting a couple of each chili in there. You can kind of do this to your own taste. If you want it hotter, add more chiles. If you want it hotter, add more seeds, all that kind of stuff. Everything's going in. Tomatillos. I do it one by one only because if you do that, you might spill everything. So I don't like spilling. So we're going in. And this is going to make you about a little bit more than a couple quarts if you add once you add all the liquids. The pasillas, especially when you get the seeds out, because the seeds are like rocks. Kind of, you bite down on one, it's not going to be very tasty for you. So I'm just going to go ahead and put all this goodness in there. Excuse me, pardon my hands here. They're clean.
Yeah.
Okay,
Josh?
and the fresh tomatoes. Go ahead.
Josh?
Yes.
If they have red tomatoes, should they roast those red tomatoes? And is it at the same temperature?
So with tomatoes, you can roast them. Typically, when you roast them, as long as I did with the other stuff, they're just going to kind of turn into a lot of liquid. So I usually do the tomatoes in fresh, okay. and I don't cut them when they're about this size. These are about a small handful. So okay. if they're roasted in there, they might just kind of turn into mush. So it won't really add any chunk. So I use it to add some chunk.
Okay, so if they don't have tomatillos, then just fresh tomatoes in.
If you don't have tomatillos, then do tomatoes. And if you do want to roast them separately, so you can do them for less time. Right, so I'm not going to roast them all with everything else.
Chet, that looks like the makings of a fantastic Bloody Mary as well.
I'm down.
There's the distiller.
Or a good michelada. That was really good.
Well, that was. I typically do have micheladas with this one, with this salsa in particular. It's a really good pairing with the michelada. If you have that Paloma is a really good one. If you don't have liquor, we got beer today. We got a lot of New Belgium products, and I'm actually using the guava. The mural, it's a guava cerveza fresca that they paired up with a brewery, Primus Brewery in Mexico City. So that's actually going in the mix too. So I'm gonna, pardon my little bit of noise here, but we're gonna mix it up, start the mix. So you get it the consistency you want really. If you want some chunks, don't blend it all the way. If you want it smoother, keep going, right? It's up to you. This is totally rustic. And then while it's blending, just a little bit of this. Going in, right? Okay. So that's the borracha comes from adding the alcohol. So if you can do it with liquor. I don't recommend doing it with every kind of liquor. I would recommend a tequila, a rum, or maybe some gins that would work in here. but typically it's with tequila coming from, Mexico salsa. So this actually works really well because it's a Mexican beer, and this is the guava flavor. So I think that would pair really well with the fresh tomato and everything like that. Okay. So now if you can see down into here, if you can see into this one, you still have some nice colors from the skin of the pasilla from these big peppers. Those black flecks in there. That's what that is. Plus a little bit of the char from the oven. Okay. You still got your chunks from the tomatoes, so I'm going to blend it a little bit more until we get it the way you want, right? And what I also have here is I measured out all my spices. So I got my salt. I did 2 tablespoons. That's your preference. I did up to 2 tablespoons because I really wanted to combat the acid that's in the tomatillos and the lime and vinegar that we're putting in. Okay. This all came from Market Box today. It was all nice and fresh for me. Oregano, one of the secrets to this flavor. All right. Cumin, that's also 2 tablespoons. There might be different from the recipe I sent, but I decided it depends on how well it's ground. So if you're getting your cumin whole seeds, you can grind it down in a spice blender, or a coffee blender, right? Grinder, I should say, to get it as fine as you want it. And I like it fine, right? This is coriander. This is coriander, and that's another spice that a lot of people don't know. That's actually the seed of cilantro, right? So sometimes you'll hear cilantro and coriander mixed together in recipes. Coriander is coming from the seed of cilantro. So that's a little bit of food trivia for you. Okay, then we're just gonna go all in, right into your blender here. Woo! Like it like that. So everything's in there. And while that's blend, I'm gonna blend it one more time. Pardon my noise here for a sec. But I wanted everything to incorporate, right? The only thing I haven't added yet.
Love.
The only thing I haven't added yet is acid, right? And that's what's really gonna make everything pop, right? So I'm gonna put the zest of 1 lime. Hi, Lety. That's a good creep in. So the zest of 1 lime is going right in there that I zested earlier. And then a really good flavor that I like, Jeff, you can attest to this, the key lime has a little bit of a different flavor than say like regular limes or any other citrus. It's more native to this kind of cuisine. And like if you have a key lime pie, which is kind of, I don't know, regular lime pie, I hope you can tell the difference, but the key limes work really well in this particular setting. So I juice, if you have key limes, juice 2 of them. If you're doing a kind of more standard regular lime, as long as you get up to about 3 tablespoons of lime juice in there, that should give it a nice tartness, okay? So just squeeze them on in there. And don't worry about seeds, those will blend in if you got a, yeah, it's in there. The flavor's all in there. And then I got red wine vinegar. I'm just gonna do a tablespoon of this for a kiss on top. Okay, there, a little bit more. And then we just incorporate that real quick.
I think that's the quietest food processor I've ever heard. That's
Is
amazing.
it quiet? I feel like it's like Godzilla walking through Tokyo or something.
It sounds like a quiet, comfortable, vibration. It's nice.
Maybe I don't know. Maybe this is just a very subdued food
Jeff,
processor.
aren't key limes also Mexican limes?
Yes.
That's so cool, right? I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of people don't know that. I mean, it's the same fruit. So, key lime pie you can make instead of.
I think that this key lime would go very well with your paloma.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm market boxing with the lemons and the Oro Blanco.
Yeah. They sent me some really nice grapefruits and also those nice lemons, along with the zucchini blossoms, squash blossoms, the flor de calabaza, right? So if you got that, then you know what we're talking about. These guys right here.
My favorite.
Yeah, you can stuff them, you can do whatever you want with them. And we'll do some other applications of that probably at another time because you can stuff Lety's cheese in there. You could fry those, you can set it tortillas. So there's lots of stuff you can do if you got that market box. If you're not, you can probably find those at a specialty produce or another produce place. Maybe Northgate, maybe Sprouts sometimes. So now, what I did with this one, I'm not gonna do it just yet, but basically you just warm it up a little bit. You just warm it up and add another 2 tablespoons of oil to it, just to kind of almost like a binder, keep everything together. You warm it up and then you cool it back down before you try it. But if you want to eat it warm, that's fine too. because I know you can't resist, because it's probably gonna be delicious, right? So what I did was I fried up some chips. You can buy store-bought chips, that's fine too. If you can make some chips on your own, that's fine. But I had some fried made already because we got the kitchen back here, right? And I have a little flag over here. Pardon me here. Can I put it right here? Yeah?
Movie magic.
Movie magic. I don't know how this keeps happening, but it keeps happening. So I got some chips. I got some salsa, right? And should I move over here? Let me go over here. Here, I got chips and salsa, right, on a bowl. And what I'm gonna do, here's the end result of the salsa. It's your salsa verde, but I call it salsa borracha because we added the cerveza. Or if you want it really borracha, add tequila, right? So I have Chef Lety's, homemade cheese. If you have cotija cheese, like we said earlier, I decided to call an audible. I said, wait, you're making cheese? I'm gonna use your cheese. So if you guys end up making this cheese at home, basically I just put it on I had her brown it in the back. So queso chamuscado, we're just charring the cheese. It's just browning it, blackening, however dark you want it. And then we're just gonna put it on the salsa, okay? That way, when you're dipping your chips in the salsa, you might get a little bonus, okay? This cheese is actually thick enough that you could dip the cheese in the salsa as a chip too.
Wow.
Okay? But we're gonna put it in the salsa. And this right here, I could eat this all day, every day of my life. Maybe just the cheese, maybe just everything. I don't know, this is just one of my favorite things. That's why I decided to, when Danny asked me if I wanted to do it, I said, yeah, and I'll show you how to make salsa because Danny's special. She gets the secret recipe. Right? So now, the next step of what Lety's gonna do also pairs with this collaboration right here. This is basically chips and salsa extreme, If you wanted to, I didn't do it for the masses, but typically for my own family, for myself, I would add cilantro and I would make it extra spicy. Because my grandma always said, if your nose isn't running and your forehead's not sweating, then you're not really eating salsa, right? So can I get an amen from the back?
Amen.
But thank you, yeah. So this one's not too spicy, and you can adjust that level as you want. I got some cayenne pepper also in the market box, but I didn't add it to this. I'm trying to do a kind of for the masses recipe, but you can also adjust it high or low, however you want to do. Okay. So yeah, this is the end result: salsa borracha con queso chamuscado. Okay. So you can, like I said, you can use the cheese as your chips, or you can use your chips as your chips. And then the next thing that Lety's going to make is also going to pair with this. And if I was going to do a beverage pairing besides the Paloma, because I couldn't get his liquor in time, but we got some new Belgian beers, and I would pair a Juicy Haze IPA with this. That'd be a really good pairing. The tomatillos and the acid from the key limes and the grapefruit would be an excellent pairing with the Juicy IPA. So lots of those to choose from, and yeah, you can choose different beers to put in there too. Make it your own. Okay. Questions?
Amazing.
Derica, I like Derica's question.
Chef, what's the guava particularly bring to that?
So guava itself, I think, is another kind of mildly acidic fruit. It does definitely have sweetness. This guava flavor also has a little bit of berries in it. So tomatillos and all the different limes. Jalapenos can even be sweet once you cook them. Not sweet like sugar, but there's an inherent sweetness, I feel, when you cook vegetables, when you roast vegetables like carrots, celery, broccoli, anything. It just brings out the inherent sweetness in the vegetable itself. So this salsa, although it's spicy, can feel a little bit sweeter, if that makes sense. I didn't put any sugar in it, but it just feels like that. It doesn't feel like it's not gonna kick your ass like a habanero salsa might, but it's just gonna be kind of good across the board. And this is actually my go-to salsa when someone asks me to make salsa. So it takes a little bit of work, but it's definitely worth it.
That's awesome. I mean, we got time right now. If there's a time to make homemade salsa and cheese, it's now.
Some people have time, yeah. Some people have time, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go ahead and try it. Let's see if it works.
Delicious.
Yes, I love it. I love it. I'm gonna keep it in the recipe book. So, was that the question about pasillas?
And yeah, what's the name of the big dark chilies?
So that's pasilla, Pasilla. And you can find those at most Mexican markets for sure. You can order them direct. They're not always grown in season in San Diego, but you could probably plant your own in your house if you wanted to grow chiles. They grow really well in San Diego, especially in the summertime. And pasillas themselves I just really like them. So if you can find a pasilla for your salsa verde, then I recommend putting it in there. Like I said, these are also the ones they use. Yes, poblanos are similar. But if you ask for a poblano chili, it'll be, typically it'll be, correct me if I'm wrong, Lety, but that might be, you might get a dried one. Might be the black shrivelly one. And I could be wrong on that. I'm up for connecting. But typically, if you say pasilla, you'll get this.
If they were going to make the squash blossoms tonight, would they just stuff it with cheese? And then what would they go about doing with the squash blossoms?
For the chili relleno?
No, for the squash blossoms that people.
Oh, squash blossoms. Yeah. Sure. A little bonus right here. So if you're growing squash, if you get like some volunteer squash in your garden, or if you have a farm nearby, these are just squash flowers. So these grow on the squash vine. So this is actually a squash flower, right? So it opens up. It's got a pretty good amount of space in there actually. Okay. You just want to take out the what's called a pestle, right? And leave or stamen. I have to go back to high school biology for this, but you open it up and then you stuff it with, I recommend, this is just me, but recommend manchego cheese, maybe some chorizo or soy riso. Then you fold it back up, right? And it closes it around the squash blossom. Then you can put it in a batter and fry it like that. You can pan sear it. You can eat it raw like that. It's good. I mean, it's just kind of readily available. So stuff them with something that's going to bind it and keep it sealed together.
That's awesome. Now, Josh, I know that you have been to many a Kitchens for Good graduation.
Yes.
From our culinary apprenticeship program.
Correct.
So any key takeaways from seeing our programs up close?
Definitely.
You've worked with many of our alumni.
Yeah, my last restaurant before this, I had three students, graduates from Kitchens for Good, and in different stages of their culinary careers. And then also when I was doing private catering, I had hired a couple students to work with different events with me. And yeah, they're just always eager to work. And we were going to do this other big event for one of the hospitals, but they had shut down, with what's it called, recent circumstances. But I was going to hire some of the students to work with me for that, and it was going to be a whole week long. So I always go to Kitchens for Good when I need a lot of help. I can pretty much count on them for eager to work people. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah. And what we're doing tonight is helping raise funds for supporting our students and alumni, many of them who have lost their jobs in the restaurant industry. So hopefully they'll get back to work with you very soon.
Yeah, everybody.
We'll pass it over to Chef Lety.
Yeah. A little bit, yeah.
We'll see you over here.
So
We're going to do tortillas on the side.
okay. Tortillas in the back. So yeah, we're gonna head back into the kitchen because she's gonna be doing her thing. And this is actually what she's pretty famous for right now in San Diego. So I'm very excited to have her in my kitchen doing this. I thought about doing it myself, and I was like, wait a minute, I got an ace in the hole over here, right? So coming back to the Harvest Kitchen. Watch the corner there. Perfect. And back to Lety's station.
Hi, I'm actually going to have you help me out with water.
Okay. Same mask up.
Ask up, yep. So, 6 feet away. You can do this, right? All right, so tortillas de harina, really easy. If you don't use lard, quarter pound, I would do about 8 ounces of oil. This is a blend of vegetable and grapeseed oil. I prefer that blend. So in here, out of the 8 cups, you're gonna need so in here you'll need 6 cups. 6. I have the baking powder and the salt already in there, and I kind of just add it in there and mix it in. And in the middle, I throw in the lard. Or you could do the oil. And then I start kind of breaking it in. It's almost like making biscuits in a way where you really want to cut the fat in there. And you want to make sure it's like all broken in, a little coarse if possible. And then I use room temperature water. Yep. And I have 4 cups here, and I'm going to let them know how much I'll need.
Ready?
Yeah, so go ahead and pour half of that in there.
Right into the center.
Right into the center. Got to make it well. That's good. And then, yeah, like pasta. And the reason why you want to leave at least 2 of those cups out is because you're going to need it. If it's too wet, you want to add in there. If it's too dry, then you'll add more water. That's why you don't want to put all of it in right away. I learned how to make this by eyeing it. My mom never really gave us recipes. It was always like, just add a little bit more. Add a little bit more. Feel it. Feel it. So everything I learned really was all about through feel, not through actual recipes. So as you can see, as you're mixing it, it's going to slowly start coming together. I'm going to add maybe like just a little bit, touch, así está bien, just a little bit, and kind of mix it up. Right? There's still a little bit more flour. And once you've kind of got it all together like so, I'm going to add some flour down so it doesn't get stuck. And kind of going to put all your strength in there. Put your back. Put your back, put your hips, put your everything to it. Yes. I'll get my guns. No, I'm kidding. We keep it going until it's properly blended. Also, I've been doing this for a long time, so it doesn't take me much to get it kneaded.
I used to do pottery, and it reminds me of kneading the clay.
Yeah, it's kneading. It's like kneading bread. As you can see, the harina starts coming off really quickly and easily off my hands. How you kind of know it's almost ready. And then this is what you want it to look like. Then I like to coat it with some fat. And we put it in the refrigerator. And then just like that, 20 minutes later,
Wow.
you get this beautiful dough that you'll knead one more time. And see how all of a sudden it's so smooth? Look at that elasticness that comes out of it. That's what you want to see. And then we have one more little thing, which after this is done, it's refrigerated. You want to start portioning it. I usually do about 1.5 ounces. And then I get a little bit of oil or lard in my case, because you can never have way too much. And as I'm rolling it up, I put some on my hands. These are ready to go. And you can use a knife. I prefer a knife than having to break up your ball. Do that. Let it go. Portion all of these. Refrigerate it. Voila. And then I have the plancha ready to go. This is how you know they're ready. It usually takes 20 minutes in between every step, give or take, in the refrigerator. And usually this isn't the one that I use. But I go stroke down, turn, and keep going. It does kind of coil back, so you want to keep going until it's not exactly translucent or transparent, but thin enough to where it doesn't have the feel of cardboard or it doesn't have the feel of like a pita bread. And then any extra flour, you just kind of dust it off. One now. I was going to show you guys the ones that I did with magic, but they didn't come out that well. So. And this is how you know your plancha is too hot.
Lety, did you use white flour or?
Use all-purpose flour because that's what I've been used to. And then we'll have our guinea pig ready.
It's beautiful.
We're gonna pass it. Pass it. Boom.
I love it. It's perfect.
Try it.
Okay.
Eat it. Put it in your mouth like it.
Wow. She's a goddess.
Sometimes I do things.
That's
Ready?
really good. That's
Oh wait, I gotta cut this part off. That was under your mouth. Perfect. A little bit of cheese, a little bit of salsa. Perfect tortillas.
Letty, can you use gluten-free flour? Gluten-free.
Gluten-free flour, as long as it's the 1-in-1.
Okay.
Yes.
What does that mean?
I've done it once.
This is a 101 meat.
What does 101 mean?
God, that's a good question. I'm not a baker, so I can't really answer that question.
Cup for cup.
But it's cup for cup. Thank you. It means like, yeah, 1 cup of AP flour to 1 cup of gluten-free.
It's a mix.
Is it? Okay, it's a mix. Mr. Josh knows all about it.
Yeah, it is gluten free.
It is.
So it's a mix of other flours that are wheat flour.
Yeah.
Great.
Anything else? I don't know. I think that was it.
Jeff, I have a question real quick. When you were breaking the dough into little balls, I saw like a little technique that you were doing. Were you like folding it under like you do with like biscuits or rolls?
Yeah, exactly. I'll do another one.
Great question.
That's a very good. I mean, you could. My mom wouldn't do this because that's not her style. She just kind of like rolled it up and then put it on the side. But I like to keep. Maybe my OCD as a chef something. I like to kind of pull it in and grab it and then kind of just mix it up. So it has this almost perfect ball to it.
Cool.
And then I just throw it in here like that. But yeah, it's my technique. It's kind of like rolling dough. When I was at Uptown Tavern, I used to do flatbread every other day from scratch until I had my prep cooks do it. So I kind of learned how to do this pretty quick.
That's awesome. What about doing a corn tortilla? How does that change the recipe?
Corn tortilla? Corn tortilla is actually done like 2 ingredients, which is the maize, and the cal and water. You boil it, calcium lime, and then you boil it, then you let it, you separate it, strain it, then you grind it down, and you add a little bit of water till you get the consistency that you want. So that is more gluten-free and lard-free. You don't have to add any oils or anything. That's what I do mainly, especially since I like to do a lot of like indigenous flavors and Mexican food. If you go really back to what our pre-Hispanic food was, it was 80% plant-based. We didn't have pigs, we didn't have beef, we didn't have chicken. We had ducks, goats, quails, and whatever we had in the desert / the forest as we kept going further south. So doing a lot of corn tortilla and a lot of stuff that is gluten-free and plant-based, it has been like a brand new thing for me within this year. I've been doing it before, but I think it's more prevalent now with the food that I'm making.
That's awesome. So now that you have salsa and tortillas, what would your dream taco be right now?
A duck barbacoa.
Ooh.
I love duck. Duck is one of my favorite birds out there. And again, it has to do with the fact that, I've been eating it a while and I like it. But a long, long time ago, the chef here in San Diego by the name of Colin Murray made one of the best duck barbacoas, and I haven't finished thinking about it. It's so good. Such one of the best dishes out there. He's in the East Coast, and who knows?
What about Josh?
Yeah.
What's your go-to taco right now?
So I really like, if it's one of mine, I do a beer braised carnitas, so pork, so braised in San Diego beers, and then we braise that down and put in some tacos, preferably with handmade tortillas. If I had to go somewhere else, right now I do like, she has a really good, she's being humble, but she has a really good taco in her kit. It's really good. And Sergio at Chicano Soul Food's doing a lot of really good stuff with his, I actually really like his picadillo tacos, and he does vegan tacos. So anywhere you can get a good vegan taco is a nice change of pace. So look for those out there. Maybe I'll do a little classic Kitchens for Good sometime with doing some vegan Mexican food. Like she was saying, it's like a pre-Hispanic, Mexican food was vegan. But if I have to go meat, I don't mind a good 2 a.m. Carne asada burrito, every once in a while around San Diego. If you can find the 24-hour place.
I don't mind it either.
Yeah, if you can find a really good place in San Diego that's 24 hours to get your fix, if you will. People are going to hate me for saying this, but I've been known to frequent Saguaros in North Park. It can be good and bad, but it's good. If I'm not making my own or eating one of my friends' tacos.
Nice.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, you guys, I want to thank you both so much for inviting us into your kitchen. This has been amazing. Before I throw it back to you guys for any last words, I just want to let everyone know that we are keeping these going. So we've got another one coming up on May 28th. I know it's hard to think 2 weeks out right now, but we've got one on May 28th with Chef Drew Bent of Lola 55, an amazing restaurant if you haven't been, and Chef Davin Waite of Wrench and Rodin. Doesn't make you think sushi, but the best sushi I've had in my entire life.
He makes good tacos.
Yeah.
And then we've got Jeff coming back for another week from 7 Caves to teach us some more cocktail skills. So it's going to be really fun. We'll send you the link tomorrow. And then for those of you who may have missed it, we've also got this amazing partnership with Market Box San Diego. They do home delivered groceries. They have been donating weekly boxes of produce and products to all of our culinary students and delivering them to their door so that our culinary students can continue practicing their skills at home. And so they are partnering with us on these, and any box of ingredients that you buy for these dinners, they will donate a portion of that back to us. So check that out. So chefs, thank you guys so much. Any last words?
Yeah, I forgot to say that I got this micro radish in the Market Box, and I was going to garnish the dish with it because radish, rabanos, is something that I put on a lot of my taco dishes or on top with my salsas. The radish is, but they sent me this really nice micro radish from Quantum Microgreens in City Heights, and it's another small business, and they grow their microgreens right in a farm in City Heights, and so I used them a lot when I was with Urban Life in City Heights. So this is a really good microgreen. It's got beautiful red on it. If you like radishes, check out the micro radish. Actually, you might want to just ask Market Box about it because I know Quantum has a bunch of different microgreens to check out. So, tasty.
Super delicious.
A little spicy.
Yeah, definitely a bitter spice, but it pairs well with a lot of Mexican foods. I like to eat radishes by themselves sometimes, but it kind of cuts away from the little bit of the heat from the salsa if you make it hot. And so, yeah, I just like them. So, thanks, Kitchens for Good.
Thank you guys.
for having us.
Awesome. And thank you, Jeff. Appreciate your time.
Cheers, Jeff.
That's a lot of fun. Cheers, guys. Oh, hey, I have one more cocktail I want to show you. Super easy cocktail. Easiest cocktail in the world. Favorite cocktail you can make.
Cocktail, people.
Guys, this is easy. Find an alcohol you love.
Just whiskey.
Oh, dude, that's my
Or about this is my jasmine tea rum.
favorite cocktail in the world.
Pour about an ounce or two in your glass and drink. Cheers.
Cheers, Jeff. Thank you, guys. Thank you all so much for coming. Thank you for your donations, and stay tuned for lots more to come.
All right.
Thanks, y'all.
Yeah.
Have a good night.
See you in 2 weeks.
Cheers, guys.